Baba Vanga 2.0, Ryo Tatsuki's July 2025 prophecy sparks, mass travel cancellations, predictions for 2025. They said she was only an artist, just someone lost in the world of manga, sketching strange dreams from the shadows of her mind. But what if those dreams were never fiction? What if, piece by piece, her quiet warnings drawn in ink over 20 years ago have already come true, and now there's just one prophecy left? A vision marked clearly, July 2025. And here's the disturbing part. Travel bans are rising. People are changing their plans. It's as if the world itself is quietly bracing for something. Could we be walking right into her final vision without even realizing it? This isn't imagination. This isn't a plot from a sci-fi film. This is our reality, echoing the words of Ryo Tatsuki, a reclusive artist who may be our generation's Baba Vanga. Welcome to The Journey of Wisdom. If you're drawn to deeper truths hiding beneath the surface of everyday life, you're in the right place. Tap the like button, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe if you haven't already. And stay with me till the end, because her final 2025 prophecy may just shift how you see the future and yourself forever. Let's begin. Number 1. Who is Ryo Tatsuki? Ryo Tatsuki is not a name that echoes in the halls of mainstream media, nor is she a personality paraded on social media platforms. She doesn't fit the mold of a traditional prophet or even a modern influencer. But what sets her apart is the quiet but chilling accuracy of her visions. Born in Japan, Ryo was a manga artist, a profession that paints her as an observer, a thinker, and a quiet weaver of stories. She released a book in 1999 titled The Future I Saw, filled not with fantasy tales, but rather unsettling diary-like entries paired with illustrations each linked to specific dreams that came with unmovable timestamps. At first glance, her work appeared to be no more than an eccentric's creative outlet. But over the years, many of those dated dreams began to manifest in real life, or not in vague terms like we often see with so-called prophecies, but in disturbingly precise detail. This was not the work of someone guessing or speaking in riddles. These were accounts of world-changing events that would come to life with an eerie echo of her earlier descriptions. Perhaps the turning point came with her most discussed and validated prediction, the 2011 Great East Japan earthquake. On March 11th, 2011, a massive 9.0 magnitude earthquake shook the Pacific seabed, triggering a devastating tsunami and the Fukushima nuclear disaster. It was a moment of national trauma and international sorrow. But in Ryo's 1999 book, this very disaster had already been drawn and described, set in March 2011, with the accompanying devastation eerily matching what the world would later witness. The haunting realization that someone had foreseen this so clearly jolted both skeptics and believers into a new kind of awareness. Her vision wasn't coated in symbolism, it was direct, precise, and real. This made people revisit her book not with a critic's eye, but with a seeker's curiosity. What else had she seen? What else might lie ahead? As readers and researchers combed through The Future I Saw, more and more of her predictions were recognized, not because they'd been sensationalized, but because they quietly echoed real events. One of the most compelling examples was her mention of a mysterious lung-related illness that would circle the globe in 2020. She described images of masked individuals, deserted cities, and disoriented governments, a haunting mirror of the COVID-19 pandemic. She never used the term coronavirus, of course, but the themes and symbols she described captured the mood and reality of that global event with surprising accuracy. It wasn't only health crises either. She pointed to financial instability, devastating floods, and widespread wildfires. many of which aligned suspiciously well with real-world events in the years that followed. Although not all of her dates were perfectly timed, the proximity and similarity of the events she dreamt of created a pattern that felt too consistent to be dismissed. What makes her story so compelling today, especially for those of us navigating midlife or later years, isn't just the accuracy of her visions, but what they make us question about the world we live in. In an age where we are flooded with data but starved for wisdom, Ryo Tatsuki offers a kind of mirror, a chance to pause and reflect on the unpredictable nature of the future and our place within it. Her work isn't meant to incite fear, although many do react with anxiety when they read it. Instead, it asks us to consider how we live now. Are we paying attention to the signs around us? Are we prepared, mentally and spiritually, for sudden change? Are we building lives rooted in compassion, community, and resilience, or are we swept away by distractions and illusions? As with any prophecy or prediction, discernment is key. We should neither blindly believe nor cynically dismiss. Rather, her story serves as a call for deeper awareness. What if the most important response to a prophecy isn't panic but presence? What if the lesson is not in the accuracy of a date, but in our readiness to meet each moment with clarity and care? And this leads us to what is perhaps her most unsettling prediction, a vision she rarely spoke about, and one she even tried to distance herself from: a significant, unnamed event marked with the year 2025. Now, as July 2025 approaches, her followers and curious onlookers are growing more anxious. The atmosphere is tense, travel plans are being reconsidered, and many wonder if her silence on this particular vision suggests a threat too great or too vague to understand. But in moments like this, the teachings of ancient wisdom traditions can offer grounding. Buddhism, for example, teaches us to live with equanimity amid uncertainty. Nothing in this world is permanent, and our attachment to comfort, control, or certainty often blinds us to the truth that change is the only constant. Whether or not something major happens in July 2025, the best preparation is to live well today, to do good, avoid harm, and care for each other with sincerity. So as we approach this mysterious date, perhaps the question we should carry isn't what will happen, but rather, who will we be when it does? Will we be consumed by fear or grounded in mindfulness? Will we be frozen in anxiety or active in kindness? Ryo Tatsuki may not have all the answers, but she has offered a nudgy whisper through time that encourages us to pay attention. And in this ever-changing world, attention, compassion, and clarity might just be the most powerful forms of prophecy we have. Number 2. The 2025 Prophecy. In the 2021 edition of The Future I Saw, Ryo Tatsuki shared a powerful and alarming vision that has caught the attention of people around the world and sent ripples of anxiety through those who remember her past predictions. This time, the focus is on July 2025, just around the corner from where we stand today. According to reports highlighted by major outlets like CNN, Tatsuki's vision speaks of a massive undersea rupture forming between Japan and the Philippines, a geological event that could cause tsunamis reaching up to 3 times the height of those in the 2011 Tohoku disaster. Think about that for a moment. The 2011 tsunami devastated entire towns and shook the world with its scale. What would a wave 3 times that size mean for the millions who live along the coastlines? In her illustration and descriptions, Tatsuki described oceans that boil, which has led many to speculate about the possibility of a powerful underwater volcanic eruption or a deep, violent seismic shift. She even mapped out the epicenter of this vision in a diamond-shaped area connecting Japan, Indonesia, Taiwan, and the northern Mariana Islands zone, well known for tectonic activity, making her vision even more chilling. Now, Here's where it gets even more interesting. Tatsuki herself doesn't fully embrace the label of prophet. In her rare public appearances, she humbly says she is not a seer, not someone who wants to be followed or feared. "I'm not a prophet," she insists, "just a woman who dreams things." But when those dreams start coming true with unnerving precision, it raises a question you and I must ask. Can someone who dreams of disasters that unfold exactly as described truly be dismissed as just a dreamer? Is there more to her visions than mere coincidence? After all, she foresaw the 2011 earthquake and even hinted at a respiratory virus spreading globally long before COVID-19 struck. What does it mean when someone who has no desire for fame or attention keeps seeing glimpses of the future that eventually become headlines? Number 3. Real world reactions as of 2025. As we find ourselves in the middle of 2025, the whispers surrounding Ryo Tatsuki's eerie prophecy about a potential cataclysm in July have turned into tangible actions, especially in the world of travel. What once might have been dismissed as a curious footnote in the realm of predictions is now having real-world consequences, with travelers increasingly cancelling or postponing their plans to visit Japan. According to reports from the Hong Kong-based travel agency WWWPKG, the ripple effects have been substantial. Bookings to Japan dropped by an astonishing 50% during the Easter holidays. This isn't just a momentary dip, it's a trend that many believe will stretch into the summer, as fear and uncertainty begin to override the usual excitement that comes with international travel. For many, Tatsuki's prophecy about July 2025 doesn't feel like an abstract prediction anymore. It feels like a looming cloud, one they'd rather avoid entirely. But this rising anxiety isn't coming from the prophecy alone. It has been reinforced by more tangible sources, adding weight to what might otherwise have remained in the realm of the speculative. The Chinese embassy in Tokyo issued a formal advisory in April, urging its citizens in Japan to stay alert and prepare for possible natural disasters. This message, though general on the surface, was interpreted by many as a veiled acknowledgement of the growing fears tied to Tatsuki's prediction. People are not just reacting to a psychic's words, they are responding to official channels that are encouraging caution. When government institutions begin to echo even subtler themes of a prophecy, it naturally amplifies public concern, especially among those who already feel uneasy. To make matters more unsettling, the advisory came in the wake of a noticeable uptick in seismic and volcanic activity around Japan's coasts. These real, observable events lend a sense of urgency to what might otherwise be dismissed as folklore or pseudoscience. The South China Morning Post reported that the advisory wasn't issued lightly. It was driven by a genuine increase in natural indicators that suggest Japan could be entering a period of heightened geological instability. For travelers, the timing couldn't be worse. Many are now faced with the question, is a vacation worth the risk, even if that risk is unconfirmed but widely feared? In uncertain times, our instincts often push us to prioritize safety, and that is exactly what seems to be happening on a mass scale. Meanwhile, Japanese authorities have taken a more grounded and composed stance. They've emphasized the country's robust infrastructure and preparedness for disasters, reassuring both residents and visitors that Japan remains one of the most well-equipped nations in the world to handle natural emergencies. The Japan Meteorological Agency has not issued any specific alerts or forecasts tied to the July prophecy, underscoring that no credible scientific data currently supports the idea of an impending catastrophe. Their message is clear: stay calm, rely on verified information, and trust in the systems that have been built precisely for moments of unpredictability. But even with this logical perspective, emotions often lead the way when fear takes hold. And in today's hyper-connected digital age, rumors can spread faster than facts, making it even harder for people to stay grounded. This situation presents a valuable lesson about how we, as individuals and as a society, respond to uncertainty. Prophecies, predictions, and warnings, whether spiritual or scientific, tend to expose our deepest anxieties about control and safety. The human mind struggles with the unknown, and so we often seek out actions, like canceling a trip or avoiding a specific place, to regain a sense of agency. But in doing so, we also reveal something deeper, a yearning for peace, for assurance, and for the ability to protect ourselves and those we love. This isn't wrong, it's simply human. What we can learn here, however, is the importance of balancing awareness with wisdom. There's a difference between preparing and panicking. Wisdom teaches us to observe carefully, listen deeply, and make decisions not just from fear, but from clarity. In modern life, where headlines flash and social media amplifies every tremor of fear, we must return to something more centered. Ryo Tatsuki's prophecy may or may not hold truth, but the way we respond to such messages reveals much about where we place our trust. It reminds us that while we cannot always control the future, we can control how we meet it. For those feeling unsettled by these predictions, let it be a time to cultivate calm rather than chaos. Perhaps we cannot stop the waves, but we can learn to stand steady as they come. Keep informed through credible sources, make practical preparations if needed, but do not let fear dictate your life. In Buddhism, there's a saying, "Even if the sun were to rise in the west, the wise remain undisturbed." This is a call to inner stability, no matter what unfolds around us. And so, as the calendar slowly turns toward July, let us not be pulled entirely by external noise. Let us instead look within and ask, how do I maintain peace regardless of the storms outside? That is the real prophecy we must each fulfill, not in predicting what will happen, but in choosing how we will respond. If you've watched up to this point, you're already tuned into the mysteries that may shape our future. Comment below with prophecy ready to show you're open to exploring what lies ahead in 2025. Don't click away, there's more to uncover about Ryo Tatsuki's eerie predictions and why they're causing such a stir. Stay until the end to see how these visions might affect your choices, your travels, and your peace of mind. Number 4. Spiritual reflection. The question of whether the future is fixed like a railroad or flexible like a river has fascinated humanity for centuries, and it's especially relevant in light of Ryo Tatsuki's 2025 prophecy. For those of us between the ages of 30 and 65 who have lived through moments of both certainty and chaos, this question hits close to home. Some spiritual traditions, particularly Buddhism, offer a unique lens through which we can view this dilemma. Instead of seeing time as a straight line marching forward, Buddhism teaches that time may be cyclical events, may recur in patterns, like the seasons or the turning of a great wheel. In this view, Ryo Tatsuki may not be peering forward into some yet-to-be-written script, but rather recalling something already etched into the fabric of existence from a previous cycle or life. This idea can be unsettling, but it also opens the door to a profound possibility that our lives are not bound by fate, but by rhythm, choice, and awareness. As we approach the year 2025, the sense of collective anticipation and, for some, anxiety is growing. Whether or not one believes in Tatsuki's visions, the real question becomes, how do we respond? The prophecy might serve less as a literal prediction and more as a mirror reflecting the state of our global consciousness. The world feels increasingly fragile politically, environmentally, emotionally. In this context, 2025 may well be a turning point, not because something is destined to happen, but because we are being presented with a test of values, a moment to choose compassion over fear, mindfulness over chaos, and community over isolation. Like a river, our future shifts with the movement of our choices, yet the riverbed, the karma of past actions, still shapes the flow. This blend of freedom and consequence is something we navigate every day in our relationships, careers, and inner worlds. So, instead of worrying about what might come, perhaps this is a time to pause and reflect deeply on how we are living right now. Are we contributing to peace or to conflict? Are we reacting from fear or responding with understanding? In this way, the prophecy becomes not a warning of doom, but an invitation to live more fully and wisely. It encourages us to stop drifting on autopilot and to steer our lives with intention, because even if the future is a cycle, how we meet it or attitude, our actions can change everything. Let 2025 be less about a date to dread and more about a door opening, a call to become more awake in a world that often feels asleep. In a society that constantly pulls us outward, this may be our moment to look inward and realign with the values that bring lasting peace, not just to ourselves, but to the world around us. Readiness over panic. Meeting the future with calm and clarity. Whether you believe in Ryo Tatsuki's prophecy or not, one thing is clear. The growing signs of instability from climate shifts to increased seismic activity are prompting many to reflect on how we live, how we prepare, and how we stay connected to what matters. So how should we prepare for July 2025? Not with panic, but with presence. Number 1. Practical preparedness. While no one wishes to dwell on worst-case scenarios, cultivating a mindset of readiness rather than panic is not a sign of fear, but a form of wisdom deeply rooted in both ancient teachings and practical living. In the modern world where wildfires, storms, or earthquakes can strike without much warning, being calmly prepared is one of the greatest gifts we can offer ourselves and those we care about. Just as the Buddha once said, "Ardently do today what must be done. Who knows? Tomorrow, death comes." This isn't a call to live in fear, but a reminder to be mindful and proactive. Practical preparedness, particularly for those living near coasts or in earthquake-prone areas, is not just sensible, it's an act of compassion. Begin with something as basic as assembling an emergency kit. It may seem simple, but having 3 to 5 days' worth of water, non-perishable food, a flashlight with spare batteries, a fully charged power bank, a first aid kit, essential medicines, and a battery-powered radio can make an immense difference in a crisis. Rather than feeling overwhelmed, approach this like tending to a garden. Each item is a seed of security, quietly waiting for the moment it's needed. In the same spirit, having a clear communication plan brings clarity during chaos. Know how to contact your loved ones, not just through your smartphone, but through alternative methods in case the usual ways fail. Write down important numbers, designate a meeting point, and even rehearse what you'd do if you were separated. These steps might feel excessive in times of peace, but when calm is shattered, they bring a sense of grounded control. As Lao Tzu reminds us, in the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity, and in this case, the opportunity lies in how we prepare beforehand. Trust doesn't mean ignoring danger. It means accepting reality and responding with calm intention. To deepen this mindset, stay informed through trustworthy sources like government weather services or geological updates, rather than relying on fear-mongering social media posts. In a world flooded with information, discernment becomes a kind of modern enlightenment. This mindful readiness also applies to our plans and expectations, especially as we approach uncertain times like travel during stormy seasons or global shifts. Having flexibility isn't giving up control, it's a way of flowing with life's changes. The Zen saying, "The bamboo that bends is stronger than the oak that resists," teaches us that rigidity invites stress, but adaptability allows peace. When planning trips in vulnerable months like July, create room for change. Don't cancel in fear, just make space for adjustment. This way, you remain anchored in calm, regardless of the storm outside. Life today moves fast and unpredictably, and our best response is not anxiety, but readiness built on simplicity, mindfulness, and connection. This kind of preparedness isn't about predicting doom. It's about living with clarity, knowing you've done what you can, and then trusting the moment. Just as we clean our homes and take vitamins to stay healthy, preparing for the unexpected is another form of everyday self-respect. As you go about your daily life, shopping for groceries, commuting to work, spending time with family, let a small part of your mind remain gently aware, not paranoid but present. That presence, cultivated over time, becomes your inner shelter. If today's message resonated with you, drop a quick comment. Prepared, not panicked. Let's remind each other that calm readiness is true wisdom. Number 2. Mental and emotional readiness. When uncertainty strikes, it's not just our physical environment we need to prepare for, it's our inner world too. Often, fear leads us to make choices that don't reflect our true values. Think about it. When was the last time you felt overwhelmed, and how did that affect your decisions? Instead of letting anxiety spiral out of control, what if you learned to return to stillness, to a space inside you that remains calm even in the middle of chaos? This isn't just spiritual talk, it's practical wisdom. Many traditions, especially Buddhism, have long taught the importance of returning to the present moment. Thich Nhat Hanh said, "Feelings come and go like clouds in a windy sky. Conscious breathing is my anchor." Mindfulness is the first step on this path. Simply pausing each day to take a few deep breaths, noticing your emotions without labeling them as good or bad, can shift your entire experience. You're not denying your feelings, you're learning to be with them, gently and without judgment. And in doing so, you become less reactive and more grounded. Can you give yourself permission to feel worry without letting it control your actions? This is especially important in a world that never stops talking. We are surrounded by news flashes, crisis alerts, and endless opinions. But not all information is equal. Choosing what you allow into your mind is just as important as choosing what you eat for your body. So let me ask you, do your daily media habits nourish your peace or disturb it? Learning to limit your intake of alarming headlines and social media speculation can protect your emotional clarity. It's not about ignoring the world, it's about engaging with it wisely. Emotional readiness also means building a kind of inner strength, a resilience that helps you bounce back rather than break down. One helpful question to ask yourself is, if something difficult happened today, how would I respond? Would I act with panic or with calm? Would I think only of myself or extend kindness to others? These aren't just hypothetical questions, they're a way to train your heart for what matters. As you reflect on these things, remember, how you prepare internally shapes how you meet whatever comes. So, instead of getting caught up in what-if scenarios, focus on the what is right now. In this breath, in this moment, you have the power to choose presence over panic. Let that become your habit. Because when the storm comes, and eventually it will, it's your inner calm that becomes the lighthouse for yourself and for those around you. The takeaway here is simple but powerful. Protect your peace, choose what you feed your mind, and build a heart that responds with clarity and compassion. This is the kind of readiness that can't be packed in a bag, but it's the most important kind there is. So ask yourself, gently and honestly, what small step can you take today to strengthen your inner calm? Number 3. Community connection. When we think about getting ready for uncertain times, we often picture stocking up supplies or making plans, but we sometimes forget one of the most powerful sources of resilience we have: each other. True strength doesn't grow in isolation, it's nurtured in connection. So let me ask you, do you really know the people who live around you? Could you name them, or say something about what they might need in an emergency or what they might be able to offer? In times of crisis, having a community to lean on can mean the difference between confusion and cooperation, between panic and peace. When we know our neighbors, we're not just being friendly, we're building a support system that can catch us when things fall apart. Maybe it's a single parent across the street, an elderly couple down the block, or someone new to the area who might feel lost during a big event. When we step beyond our front doors and take the time to connect, we become part of something bigger than ourselves. And this kind of togetherness doesn't need to wait until things go wrong. It can start with a wave, a conversation, or offering to help carry groceries. Now ask yourself, who around you might appreciate a little more connection? That spirit of readiness expands even more when we actively take part in local efforts. Have you ever considered joining a neighborhood safety drill or taking a CPR or first aid course? These small, proactive steps not only equip you with useful skills, but also weave you tighter into your community's fabric. Preparedness becomes a shared responsibility, something we hold and build together. Even something as simple as sharing accurate, helpful information with others, whether it's about weather alerts, local shelters, or safety tips, can create ripples of calm and confidence. Every bit of reliable knowledge you share is like a flashlight in the dark, helping someone else find their way. And it doesn't have to be grand sometimes. Just letting people know they're not alone is enough. When people feel supported, they feel stronger. Doesn't that seem like something we all could benefit from? But perhaps the most underrated form of readiness is emotional steadiness, not just within ourselves, but in how we influence others. In a world filled with noise and fear, what energy are you putting out into your surroundings? Are your words calming, or are they adding to the storm? Spreading calm isn't about pretending everything is okay. It's about being the steady hand in a shaky moment, the quiet reassurance when others are unsure. Small acts of kindness, a gentle tone, a helping hand, these things carry weight, especially when fear is high. As the Dalai Lama said, "Love and compassion are necessities, not luxuries. Without them, humanity cannot survive." In the face of uncertainty, your calm presence might be the very thing that gives someone else hope. So as you think about preparing for the future, think beyond food and flashlights. Think about who's standing beside you and how you can support each other. The deeper lesson here is that real readiness comes not just from what you have, but from who you are and how you show up for others. What kind of presence do you want to be when things get difficult? And how can your simple acts of connection today make the future feel a little safer for everyone? And so, as we step closer to July 2025, the question isn't whether Ryo Tatsuki's prophecy will come true, it's how we choose to meet the unknown. Will we respond with fear or with clarity? With panic or with presence? At The Journey of Wisdom, we believe the most powerful way to prepare for the future is to live wisely in the present, grounded in compassion, aware of the signs, but not consumed by fear. If today's story sparked reflection in you, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who might need a bit of calm amid the noise, and subscribe to The Journey of Wisdom. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos, especially as we explore more of what 2025 may hold. Until next time, may you stay mindful, kind, and steady no matter what the world brings.